Welcome everybody to the American Space Museum. I'm Marquette. We're so glad you're with us to Stay Curious today with a little bit of Future Fridays on Stay Curious. Today we're going to talk about Crew 8 being named Voyager back in the moon in the news after almost 5 decades of plowing through our solar system and leaving our solar system. And India is attempting a moon landing in 2 weeks that you might know very little about. And so that's what we're all about on Stay Curious, is some celebrating space history, future events, and acknowledging the wonderful careers of astronauts as well as space workers who have put America permanently in outer space for 22 years on the International Space Station, and of course celebrating the legacy of the Apollo moon landings. We love doing it here with my co-producer Marty Winkle. Hello Marty, how are you today?
I'm doing good, Mark. How are you?
I'm good. This has kind of been a slow week for us to go out to the Space Center unless you snuck out there and didn't tell me about it. Sometimes you were out there quite a bit more than me, but it goes in cycles, doesn't it?
Yeah, I just went out there just Tuesday, I think it was. So, who's out there? Bill
Mac?
Yeah,
Bill MacArthur?
Yeah.
Yeah, good guy out there. So we love keeping you up to date on that, and we love our astronauts. And when we get to interview a couple of them, Winston Scott, there's a great interview we did Wednesday that you want to check out on YouTube. And he's given a pitch there on YouTube that if you want to help us out, there is a donation button there on the bottom that you can add any amount from $2 up to $500 goes directly to the American Space Museum and supports this program. So a new feature that we thank YouTube for doing, and we are doing YouTube off of our Facebook post there. So Marty, everything okay?
I don't see any viewers. That has me concerned.
Okay, you probably wouldn't see them unless they're because they're not on Facebook. So
I know, but we still get them on YouTube.
right. Okay. See what checking our little Streamlabs situation here. Make sure we're going out well to everybody involved. As we've got behind me here the artwork for the India lander that is going to land on Wednesday, August 23rd. Couple weeks from now, so we'll tell you all about that going on as Marty's checking out our situation here. We got some happy birthdays that we're gonna 3 astronaut birthdays today, but let's reset here. You're wondering if we're going out there into the world. Did you see it on Facebook?
No, I don't see it.
Well, refresh the Facebook up there on the right, the right screen. Oh no, got you there. I'm not sure what that's up there for. Facebook was on the one side, and we're double checking here that we're going out, but in the meantime, I'm going to assume we are, and we have got a happy birthday to these 3 gentlemen. All right. August 4th is a good day to be a spaceman. 3 space shuttle astronauts share August 4th on their birthday, and me get them up there. We've got on the left is Sam Gemar, born in Yankton, South Dakota. He's 68 years old. Mike McCulley, born in San Diego, California, but he grew up in Tennessee, and I'm seeing the name of the town, Tennessee, escaping me at the moment. But it's really where he grew up, was a town in Tennessee. And then Andy Allen is 68, shares a birthday with Sam Gemar. He's born in Richboro, Pennsylvania. All right, and he has 3 missions under his belt there. Birthday boys Allen and Gemar were crewmates on the 1994 STS-62 mission of Orbiter Columbia, and Allen was in space on his 37th birthday on STS-47 in 1992. Both McCulley and Allen have been solid supporters of the American Space Museum, which is our parent which is the parent of our parent is the nonprofit foundation, U.S. Space Walk of Fame. So we wish Mike and Andy a special birthday. Livingston, Tennessee is where McCulley was raised. But let's look at briefly their bios. There's Sam, was born in Yankton, South Dakota. He enlisted in the Army in 1973. He was a mission specialist on STS-38 in 1990, 48 and 91, and 62 and 94. He is a great visitor out there to America at this Kennedy Space Center Visitors Complex. Does a great talk, and we hope to have him on Stay Curious one day. There is Mike McCulley, was born August 4th, 1943 in San Diego, but raised in Livingston, Tennessee. He is the first submariner in space. The Purdue Knot took the Jupiter-bound Galileo space probe to Earth orbit, and then it was sent to Jupiter on STS-34. He was the first of 7 pilots in his class, and it was going to be 3 or 4 years before he'd be cycled around to fly again. So instead of waiting 3 years, he got into private business and became a popular leader as president and chief operating officer of United Space Alliance, which managed the space shuttle contractors the last 10 years of the program. And Mike has been on Stay Curious. Check out that episode by Googling his name in the YouTube. And there's Gemar. And there's Andy Allen, was born August 4th, 1955 in Richboro, Pennsylvania. He's the only astronaut to graduate from Villanova University there in Philadelphia. I asked Andy when he was on Stay Curious if they got a statue to him on the campus, and he says, well, they got a little case that has a couple of space-flown patches and stuff like that from me in there. So Andy is a CEO of Aerodyne Industries, very active in the future of space with his company, and hope to get him back on Stay Curious. We enjoy the Top Gun Andy, whose Top Gun nickname is Slick. Hope you're having a great 68th birthday today, Slick, and can't wait to see you soon to help everyone stay curious. And we want to throw back in there Winston Scott a little bit there. Oh, I know. To all these guys, Marty, all our 3 astronauts there having a birthday. As a proud Irishman, Mike McCulley would like for you to toast and say, may your glass be ever full, may the roof over your head be always strong, and may you be in heaven half an hour before the devil knows you're dead. And that is a traditional Irish prayer there. So the YouTube link on Facebook, Marty says to explain it, if you just click that YouTube link that I think is up there, it'll take you, you click Facebook, it'll take you to YouTube. All right, that's the way it's supposed to work. I've not seen over there if it transferred over to Facebook, Marty. Did it?
Sylvan did it.
Okay, good. So you'll see the link and just click it there to YouTube. Number 1, we make money on YouTube. Number 2, it has streamlined the program a little bit. So, but Facebook allows us to link to YouTube there, so check it out, and it'll be an experiment that we're doing here for a few weeks probably. Winston Scott had this in his book Reflections from Earth Orbit that I'm a big proponent of. Great book. If a task is once begun, never leave it till it's done. Be the labor great or small, do it well or not at all. And this is what we need some of the future companies to do, because a few of them make big announcements, and then I look them up a year later, and I don't see that there's been any activity on their website. And I'm going to mention one here, not in a bad light or anything, but Sarah Sabri went to space a year ago. The last Blue Origin crewed flight was a year ago, Marty, and we had Sarah in our studio about 6 weeks after that. She also went to space with a local entrepreneur here on the Space Coast. And that, if I can get his name in front of me here, that's Steve Young, CEO of Young Communications. He owns Pineapple's Restaurant in the Ugali district of Melbourne. But Sarah went up there on N22. The newly launched Shepard suborbital rocket took off August 4th from the company's launch site, West Texas. 6 passengers went above the Kármán line, 62 miles above Earth, and landed safely. They had she was the first Egyptian woman and African woman to go to space, and she was the proud founder of a nonprofit organization, Deep Space Initiative. When I looked up your Deep Space Initiative a few hours ago, Sarah, there hadn't been anything posted on it in over 6 months, so you always wonder what's going up with that. But she is a dynamic person. Look at her there with the flag after they landed. But this was the last crewed flight of Blue Origin, Marty, a year ago. They flew an uncrewed Blue Origin capsule, maybe this same one. A couple months later, the rocket had an anomaly and crashed, but the capsule did safely land. So if people had been on board, they said they would have been okay. But they've not launched in a year anything, so it kind of makes you wonder, all right, what's going on with that? There is Sarah on our Stay Curious episode. Where did I write that date down? I think it was well, she went up August 4th, so that was this was she went up August 4th, so this was in September, somewhere around that, when the Artemis scrub had been announced, and there she is riding to space there. Marty, we really liked her, didn't we?
Yeah, she was so energetic and so bubbly. You would think she was still in space.
Yeah, she was, and you know, she's all about, we got to go to space. It was such an incredible experience. There she is with her posse that included some Stay Curious friends on the left, Rob Mecklenburg and Jacques van Oon of the Netherlands. They've been in the museum several times. Rob and Jacques watch Stay Curious occasionally. And then in the back, there's David Attig from Illinois. You've got Uluwatabi Thomas and Gary Schneider from Australia. And Samantha Raines is the other woman there. They all enjoyed our museum, and when we interviewed Sarah, they were all having fun watching it. And I said, let's just get your posse over here in front of our green screen and capture that memory. And a year later, no one has still gone to suborbital on a Blue Origin, but they have on the Virgin Galactic. Virgin Galactic flew about a month ago, a crew of 6 up there. Well, I wonder if you are all aware of the fact that India has a Chandrayaan spacecraft, their third that they've attempted to go to the moon. 2 have failed. 1 they lost communications with. 2 crashed about 6 months ago. Launched in mid-July. It's going to land August 24th, which is a Wednesday. No, Thursday's the 24th. August 23rd is Wednesday. So it's 24th our time. And they're 18 days away from the moon landing. All right. This is the live website that you just put Chandra 3 up there, or India Moonlander. It'll take you to this. The next is supposed to go into moon's orbit or be captured by the moon sometime tomorrow. And what do I mean by that? Well, we'll tell you about that being captured by the moon. But I'm going to be watching the live broadcast, and we'll update you that on Stay Curious the next 2 weeks of what's going on with that. Launched by an Indian rocket. The spacecraft is up at the top there, 2 configurations. The Vikram lunar lander, and then the Chandrayaan orbiter. And there you see the lander, and it's got a little rover on it, all right, that we're showing here in our picture. That is the artist's rendering of it landing at the South Pole, in a very rocky area in the South Pole, because this wants to investigate if there is water close to the surface at the South Pole. Now, the South Pole has a lot of craters that never see sunlight, so everything's always frozen, and comet water is what they're looking for. The solar system's basically been seeded with water, probably by comets that are nothing more than like snowdrifts, loosely packed snowballs in space. So the spacecraft's going to look like that when it lands. And on its launch in July, the intention was an injection orbit that kept going wider and wider and wider. It would come down and get a gravity assist from the Earth and then spring out further, closer to the moon, come down, get a gravity assist from Earth, spring out further. So tomorrow is when it's supposed to be captured by the moon and begin its lunar orbit. That'll take it down to about 100 miles of the lunar surface and then out to maybe 30,000 miles from the lunar surface. And then that energy will be used to draw it back in and in. This is usually takes 3 days to go to the moon if you have a big rocket and propulsion system to do it. But this saves a lot of money. It takes 33 days to go to the moon. Their objectives are first, a safe landing on the moon. And second, the rover should be able to move around the lunar surface. And third, they want to conduct scientific observations focusing on the moon's constellation. This 6-wheeled rover called Pragyan, the other one had the name, the Chandra 2 had a different name, will have 2 payloads. 2 spectrometers will attempt to find materials from ancient lunar crust, and then it has a spectropolarimetry. Habitable planet Earth will measure radiation signatures to give an idea of what Earth-like planets would radiate from in there. So this has a lot of special interest to NASA that wants to land at the South Pole, as well as private companies, because the presence of water can support future space stations. Incredible to think the moon in daytime gets 200 above zero, it's 200 below zero in the night areas, and yet craters or areas of the moon might not get as hot and can have water on them. So not liquid water on the moon, frozen water underneath the surface is what we're looking for. And an artist's look as if you were on the moon watching this thing land. I think it's going to be a lot rockier than that at the South Pole, though. So we will wish them well and be following the Chandrayaan moon mission as it happens. And like I said, you can go just India's moon mission, and it'll take you to the website that's monitoring it live. Tomorrow is when it's supposed to be captured by the Earth's gravity. Moon's gravity, yeah, thank you. It's going to be leaving the Earth's gravity, and it's gone far enough away where the Earth's gravity is losing its grip, and the moon is going to take it over. So it's probably within a good 2,000 miles of the moon for that to happen. Well, Future Fridays looks at 4 new crew members have been assigned to NASA's SpaceX Crew 8 for a mission of long-duration stay at the International Space Station. Crew 7 is going to launch, trying to get them up here again. I think it's around that August 24th date. It's been pushed back again, and that's going to be commanded by Jasmine Mogali. And it has a Russian, a ESA astronaut, and a American, and another foreigner on board there, a JAXA astronaut. Okay, going. This is the next crew later, has been announced. Left to right. Left there is Commander Matthew Dominic. He will be a rookie. He's from Wheat Ridge, Colorado. All right. He's an active duty U.S. Navy astronaut. He will be a rookie in space. Second there with the big smile, that is Michael Barrett. This will be his 3rd trip to the space station. In 2009, Barrett served as flight engineer for Expedition 19 and 20, and then he flew on board STS-133, the last flight of Discovery, in 2011. He has 212 days in space. Born in Vancouver, Washington, he considers Camus, Washington, to be his hometown. So he was a NASA flight surgeon before joining the astronaut corps 23 years ago in the year 2000. So Barrett will be the only experienced astronaut on this crew, and they're looking to launch it about a year from now. All right, we're looking. No, I was thinking quicker than that. In the spring, yes, they're looking. They will join Expedition 70 and 71 in early 2024 in the springtime. Okay, and and stay up there for 14 days, just like the SpaceX Crew 7 is going up there. And so we got those crews announced that haven't been to space yet. And then Axiom, the private company that wants to build attached modules to the space station, they've announced that Michael Lopez Allegra is going to be his sixth flight and second time he's going to command an Axiom Crew 3. He commanded Axiom 1, where 4 astronauts stayed on the space station. Then Peggy Whitson commanded Axiom 2, and they were up there for a period of time to learn some techniques for 2 weeks of how to live in space with 3 other individuals who are going to probably be involved in constructing this 4-unit apartment complex on the ISS, let's call it. So Alegre Lopez is going to make his 6th flight, second on an Axiom Crew on the SpaceX there. The Minister of Defense of Italy is going up for his 2nd flight, Walter Bedalier. And then there's Turkey's got an astronaut, and ESA's got an astronaut. The Turkish astronaut is Alper Gezervaki, and Marcus Wan is the ESA astronaut, and they will also be rookies. So there'll be 2 experienced astronauts and 2 rookies on Axiom Crew 3 when it launches in November this year. All right. So yes, it's hard to keep track of all the players because of the different companies involved now. Axiom is the second private company. The other one is the billionaire Isaacman in his what's he call it? Not North Pole, Polar, but he's got 4 missions. Remember, he flew the St. Jude's mission over a year ago, and he was going to fly another mission this year, but do a spacewalk, and that's been pushed back till the fall. So a lot to keep track of. We're going to need a scorecard, Marty. But here's what Axiom's wanting to do. In 3 segments, beginning next year, they're going to put up 4 different segments and augment the International Space Station with this. You see in the middle is the completed mini space station that they will separate from the ISS, and it has its own solar panel up there. But until then, this is what it's going to look like attached to the International Space Station as they're starting to do this coming in next spring. Take each part up about every 6 months. All right, you see the Kibo module of JAXA is on the left there with the outdoor porch. The big sphere is an entertainment center that Axiom's proposing that they're going to put up on this. And then they're going to put all 4 segments up there and separate from the ISS, and want to charge you maybe $200,000 to have a vacation up there. I don't know what the price is, but it's not going to be cheap. So very interesting thing going on in our future there with the space station, ISS, that has been continuously occupied for 22 years, 23 coming up this November. So that'll be interesting. Well, finally, on future things of space, we'll go here, look at something that is in the past and looking at the future. This is the Viking spacecraft that was launched in the 1980s, or actually the 70s, late 70s. The 2 paired spacecraft were taking advantage of the unusual lineup of the outer planets. So Voyager 1 went by Jupiter and Saturn. It was sent by the most interesting moon of Saturn, Titan, instead of going on to Neptune and Uranus, or Uranus and Neptune in order. They wish they hadn't done that because Titan was covered in a shroud of clouds that we couldn't see through. So Voyager 1 took off to a different, to left the solar system in a different direction than Voyager 2, but we lost contact with both of them briefly. Voyager 2 was lost. We were in touch with Voyager 1, and it's about 14 billion miles from Earth after 40 some years. And they lost contact with Voyager 2, but for a couple weeks. Thought they would never hear from it again, but then it's designed to kind of do its own thing and and listen for the Earth signals. So it did phone home, and detection confirms that Voyager 2 is still on a planned trajectory. And that it's a bit like hearing a spacecraft's heartbeat, is what one of the engineers said. It's nearly 46 years into a mission, over 15 billion miles from Earth. It left what they call the heliosphere, the outer layer of the solar system. So they are now theorizing that it is in the interstellar domain, that maybe a nearby star's gravity will start pulling it in. Maybe that star will have planets around it. Maybe those creatures will snag this and wonder what the heck's going on. And then there's the story we were talking about, newspaper story. Thank you. Connie McDaniel sent me that, Marty. Marty also sends me a lot of newspaper clippings there. That is what a newspaper clipping looks like, y'all. Okay, in the Florida Today paper there. But good to keep up with this stuff. But if some ancient civilization does snag Voyager, and we hope they do, whether it be hundreds of thousands of years from now or thousands of years from now, they will be able to understand this bit of scientific jargon and where this spacecraft come from and what we were like. And Marty, when I was looking at the Voyager 2 disc here that we talked about the other day, because the Sagan, Carl Sagan, the famous astronomer who popularized space in the 1970s and 80s on the Cosmos series of PBS, he was the proponent of creating this so that if an alien would happen to come across our spacecraft, they would know where it came from. And these original tapes, there's a voice tape of this with sounds of the Earth and people talking. And they tried to sell it for $400,000 reserve at Sotheby's, and it didn't sell. So they're going to try that again, I'm sure. But when I was looking at this, Marty, I'm going, wait a minute, didn't the interstellar plaque that we put on a spacecraft have a naked man and woman on it? Well, yeah, but that was the Pioneer spacecraft, not the Voyager. There is that plaque showing the Pioneer spacecraft next to a man and a woman, anatomically correct, and where we came from in the solar system. The Pioneers were launched in 1973, about 5 years before the Voyagers were flown, trying to do the same thing, but these were very crude compared to even Voyager. And yet the plaque is underneath on the underside there. That is it, attached to the Voyager spacecraft. So hope an alien finds it someday, Marty. That would, of course, be way cool. Here is the Pioneer spacecraft as it is interpreted leaving the solar system. Of course, one of the biggest parts of it is the radar dish to get the signals that are pinpointed from Goldstone Tracking Station in California and several tracking stations in Australia are very important to our deep space contacts with all of our space probes. So, Marty, there's our future Fridays today with a little twist on our cruise and what's happening in the regions of space that are far beyond. I mean, both these spacecraft, Voyager and Pioneer, are way past Pluto. They are over 3 times the distance to the dwarf planet Pluto, which is about 4 billion miles away, and in an area of our solar system where there's a lot of rubble called the Kuiper Belt. So hope everybody's enjoyed our week. We've had Hazel Banks, great interview with Hazel, the secretary for the astronauts during the Apollo era. Hazel, thanks for all that you do and her contributions to our museum. And then we had a great interview with Winston Scott on Wednesday. Check them all out on YouTube. And, of course, we had a rocket launch this week. Always fun to go out with a rocket launch there. That's off the Port St. John Boat Dock Pier that I was at watching. Let's see, what was that in the middle of the week here? That was the...
Starlink.
There was what?
Starlink.
Yeah, I guess that was some Starlink satellites that they launched up there. Or was that Jupiter 3 communication satellite? All these noisy rockets, Marty, you get them confused, don't you, in there? We know the dogs are barking in the middle of the night, though, when these things go off, because all of our dog lovers, like our executive director, Karan Conklin, they hear these go off at all times. Her beautiful little Yorkie Terriers that Karan has. So, all right, let's get to future Fridays. We will appreciate everybody watching us on YouTube, and tell your friends that if they go to Facebook, the link is right there to go to YouTube. That streamlines everything and helps us make a few dollars every program as you all support Stay Curious by just watching us and a few ads on there. So, Marty, thank you for a great job. Do we have any comments or questions we have to address? Okay, great. Well, we hope everybody enjoys the weekend. Here it is, hot summer in August. Kids are going back to school, and business people are getting their game face on after having June and July to vacate. So we hope that everybody's enjoying the moon as it's rising, probably a little bit around 10 o'clock tonight. It's like a 16, 17-day-old moon after the full moon being 14 days old. And let's get this India spacecraft on the moon. We would love to see more live images from the surface of the moon. So until next week, we hope that you find in your hearts to donate to the American Space Museum, watch our programs, come to our museum, and see our one-of-a-kind artifacts where we celebrate the birth of America's space age in its delivery room, Brevard County. Until next time, I'm Marquette saying, we can't wait to see you again to bridge the space between us.